Hi everyone, Luca here from 88 Games. Photographs is a puzzle narrative game. As you complete puzzles, the story progresses and a diorama animates to show the current state of the story. I want to show you how we actually make that happen. After I've written the story, I usually split it up into around 15 different stages and sketch out a diorama for each stage. The story we're going to look at today is called The Journalist. We start with some sketches produced by our artist Octave, then we go through them and make sure the individual layers make sense. After that, we make a pixel art version in Photoshop. Here, I'm cutting out the individual elements, putting them into their own layer, and then clearing up any place where the background's peeking through. Usually around this stage, I'll realise we need some extra things, so I'll put in a rough version for Octave to clean up later. Now we've got each sprite on its own layer, we need to then mark up those layers. So we do two things. We say what stage of the diorama this layer is on, and we add a PNG extension to it. By doing that, we can use Photoshop's Generate Assets to export these layers individually. And then, using a tool called PS2D, we can create a map file describing those layers. Coming into the game engine, we can now see that map file, and in this folder we've got each image from the diorama individually represented. We can then use the map file to import the diorama into the game. Now each sprite is its own game object, placed pixel perfectly and be manipulated independently. But it looks a bit rubbish at the moment because everything is visible at the same time. We need to tell the game engine how to animate between these stages. To do this, every diorama has a transition controller. The first thing we do is set the base state. Any layer ending in @0 will be displayed automatically. And let's give that a go and see how it looks. Cool. Then we tell it how to go from stage 0 to stage 1. I've made a bunch of helper methods, and I'll just flick between Visual Studio and Photoshop, grab the layer name and say where and how I'd like it animated in. This probably isn't the best way of doing it, but it does the job. I find I get the best results through trial and error. I generally just mess around with the order, mess around with the timings until I've got something I think feels right. Here I'm just tweaking that first floor fade in. After I'm happy and I've animated one transition, I'll use this little debug helper to set that as our new base and move on to the next one. For this one, we've got to work out what elements we want to disappear before we animate anything else, and depending on the story, sometimes nothing will go, other times lots of things will go. And it should look something like this. That's the basics of it. Depending on the element, sometimes I choose a different way of animating it in. This is mostly going off what feels right or what's right for the story. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, you can reach me on Twitter. I'm Luca Redwood. Next time I'd like to speak a bit about the special effects we do, but also why we do them and how they add to the story. And hopefully do a little bit on puzzle design and how I design the puzzles to fit the story beats. Thanks for listening.